All right, back here on After Hours with your Friday dose of fighting words. Legendary boxers Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. will make the walk to the ring again in Los Angeles on Saturday night, clashing in an 8-round exhibition match. Tyson is a minus 235 favorite, so you're risking $235 to win $100. However, fighting Jones is just a wee bit more difficult than knocking out Alan Garner. Lance Pugmire, senior boxing writer for The Athletic, joining us. Check out his latest story, by the way, right now, about the wild Mike Tyson stories only his manager knows. As for Saturday, Lance, despite Tyson and Jones being a combined 105 years old and the fight being contested under exhibition rules here, how serious are these two taking it?
I mean, by the fact that this is Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., the former pound-for-pound boxing king, you've got to expect that they're taking it both very seriously. I mean, Mike Tyson, we know this mindset because we saw it for years. He is a vicious killer in the ring. And even if it is an exhibition, he still wants to impose his will and show what he has left remaining at age 54 against a guy that he always wanted to fight, and for Roy Jones against a guy that he always wanted to fight. So there is a lot at play here, even though, like you said, there are some stipulations that minimize it from what a regular boxing match is.
Yeah, they both said multiple times this is going to be a legitimate fight, but how tricky of a balance is it going to be for these guys to play by the rules and not go beyond like the hard sparring and provide legitimate entertainment? Yeah,
I mean, definitely that could come into play. I just spoke earlier today to Andy Foster, who's the head of the Athletic Commission here in California, and he said, look, I talked to both of these guys. I had a great sit down with each of them, and they each promised me that they understand the rules. And the key rule that Andy Foster wants them to stick to is that if one of them does get knocked down, you know, they don't want the guy to pursue a vicious knockout. Now, look, we all know, we're talking about Mike Tyson here. You know, this is his MO. But apparently Mike has assured him, look, I'm not going to go for the kill. If he is knocked down, if Roy Jones is knocked down, or if Mike Tyson's knocked down, then the other man will allow that person to sort of come to their senses before action resumes, and they won't be firing their most lethal blows in those moments.
Yeah, because Lance, my next question to you was, like, after being told not to go for the knockout, who goes for the knockout first? I immediately think like Mike Tyson is definitely going to do it, but it sounds like he's going to stick to the rules.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, look, he knows. I think the California Commission has been very good to Mike. They have worked very diligently with him to try to, you know, nail this down. Like they've allowed the no headgear to be in place. The rounds are just going to be 2-minute long rounds, and then the fight's only expected to last a maximum of 8 rounds. So there are some restrictions on these guys. But look, let's be honest. These guys are both, like you said, in their 50s. We're not going to want to see a lot of action that goes past the second round of either of these rounds because I think fatigue's going to set in.
Yeah, for sure. And I know fellow former heavyweight champion George Foreman calling it temporary insanity. Now, for you, give me 2 words to describe it.
I mean, knockout power, because I think this is what this is all about. You know, we remember the old Mike Tyson. We all still, you know, carry that Mike Tyson in our heart, and we want to see him do what he is here to do. But I got to be honest with you. I've had several conversations with Roy Jones Jr., and Roy, you know, he was a guy who went up all the way up to heavyweight to become a champion, and he never got to fight Mike Tyson. So for him, while this is kind of like a Mike Tyson business, this League of Legends that he's taken on, or Mike Tyson's Legends Only League, for Roy Jones Jr., this is just one fight. This is the only time he's going to participate in this thing, and he wants to, you know, prove once and for all that he's a better man than Mike Tyson in the ring, even if it is at this advanced age.
All right, one more before you go. After a year of trash talk, this card will also feature YouTube influencer Jake Paul taking on former NBA player Nate Robinson in like this cruiserweight fight. Who has the advantage here?
You got to say Jake Paul. I mean, Jake Paul has boxed before. He was very impressive against a fellow YouTuber. I don't know what Nate Robinson's credentials are, and
like,
he's kind of a smaller guy.
Nate, like, can pack a punch in that smaller frame of his?
We know, you know, a small guy who could dunk. We know that there is some extraordinary power inside there, but I still like Jake Paul. I mean, I think he's had some more hardcore boxing training over time. He works out with his brother Logan, and these guys, you know, for them, this is part of their YouTube enterprise. So, you know, I like Jake Paul, let's say by 3rd round stoppage.
All right, cool. However you can make a buck these days, man. That's what the kids do. Lance Pugmire of The Athletic, thanks for hanging out with NESN tonight, man. We really appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you so much, Emerson.
Lance does a fantastic job covering the sport for The Athletic and is a content machine right now leading up to Saturday's fight. For all the sports stories that matter, subscribe to The Athletic. More than 1 million people already have.